What's up everyone, NanMan here, and we've got another modern meta breakdown video. And this time, we're going to be talking about Crashing Footfalls. So Crashing Footfalls is going to be a little bit more power than the decks that we've been talking about lately. Like we talked about the tempo style of things with Is It Tempo recently. We talked about our of course, Enchantress lists. So these kind of a little bit slower, a lot more draw cards, where this one is a lot more in your face. So if you're looking for these sort of in your face style strategies and you don't want to be as aggro in someone's face as some of the other lists that exist, right? And we talked about those and highlighted those in the past. We were going to keep highlighting different decks from Modern in general that have been upgraded from Modern Horizons 2. So this time we're going to be highlighting Crashing Footfalls. So this is going to be one of those Cascade style decks. You can see there's a couple cards above me that are going to be rotating around, the ones that were going to be kind of the main feature and power behind this list. And then we're going to talk about kind of what the creatures do, what the deck's kind of main idea, why you might be running certain sideboard cards, and that sort of thing. If you have questions, comments, concerns about any of these decks that we're highlighting, let me know in the comments down below, and we'll kind of highlight and answer any of those questions. Also, if there's a specific deck that you want us to highlight on Modern Meta Breakdown, let me know down below, and we'll kind of highlight it here. All right, getting started, we've got 16 creatures in the list, and these creatures kind of have a shift in strategies on what you're trying to do with the list. So we've got kind of removal creatures and delay tempo creatures, and then our payout creatures, right? So we've got Bone Crusher Giant on that kind of removal creature side of things. He's kind of got that 2-for-1 aspect to him of, hey, I can deal 2 damage to something. Also, I've got a 4/3 body, so be ready to kind of deal with that. We know that there is this kind of wild monkey running around causing havoc all over Modern. Well, he does have less toughness than 2, so you have no problem being able to kind of blast him out of the way. So we do have him running in here. You've also got our delay aspect. Brazen Borrow's got kind of that double duty. Hey, I've got a chance to be able to come in and block creatures with flying. So, you know, there are a couple running around. We talked about that Is It Tempo list last time, where there is kind of a big scary dragon that's running around. So having a blocker there can be pretty nice. There's also kind of that Hammer Time list where you might be trying to infect people with Inkmoth Nexus. So do keep that in mind. Subtlety is also along that same line of delay tactics. Just like Brazen Borrow's got that kind of bounce mechanic that you can be able to use instead of just playing the creature. All right, so Subtlety is going to be able to come in as a creature if you wanted to. It's got flash, it's got flying, it's a 3/3. Not too bad on its own, but why am I spending 4 mana for a 3/3? No, really what we care about is going to be able to evoke, get something out, exile a blue card from your hand to be able to cast this for evoke and get rid of it. Right, but really we're caring about bouncing a spell and putting it either on top or bottom of our opponent's library. So that, again, delay tactics. Okay. Oh, you're going to try to mess and disrupt my game plan? Well, I'm just going to be able to remove this blue spell and hit you with Subtlety. Also, this is fuel for our force that we are running. That is one of the factors when you're running kind of these blue-based strategies of what sort of cards that you have to kind of fuel your protection spells. So Subtlety is a nice little addition in there. We've seen it in some more control-y lists, so kind of keep that in mind. But it's really that kind of delay tactic is the reason it's running. Then our big payout is Shardless Agent. All right, it is a 2/2 for 3 mana, 1 colorless, green, and a blue, and it's got that Cascade. So again, even if you counter Shardless Agent, that Cascade effect does go off because it's a cast trigger. All right, I'm going to Cascade off of this casting of Shardless Agent, and I'm going to go find something that has a lesser converted mana cost. Well, it just so happens that there is one card in this list that has a lesser converted mana cost, and we'll talk about that with when we get to our big payouts and our spells and what we're trying to hit. So in addition to being able to have a body off of Shardless Agent, there's another card in the list that is going to be rocking out our Cascade effect, which is our Violent Outburst. So as you can see, it is a teamer-based strategy. We're running that blue, green, and red. Red is kind of our removal aspects to it. It also has that payout with Violent Outburst. We've got kind of the green payout with our Violent Outburst. Otherwise, it's mainly just kind of a blue power list here. So Violent Outburst got that Cascade. Also, creatures you control get +1/+2 plus O until the end of the turn. So you do have that kind of added bonus if need be. But what are we trying to cascade into? Where is our payout going with this list? That would be our Crashing Footfalls, where the deck name come from. So this was originally posted up here in Modern Horizons 1 and didn't really see much play at all until Shardless Agent came to Modern with Modern Horizons 2 printing. So the way it works out is it has a 0 CMC. You could suspend it for 4 off of 1 green, and then after you choose to cast this spell, you are able to create 2 4/4 rhinos with trample. So it's kind of a reference to crashing rhinos that existed. It was an old card back in the day. So it's basically saying, hey, we're kind of playing on older Magic cards in that regard, so you get 2 of them. Pretty great, right? Crashing Footfalls. So being able to, on turn 3, Shardless Agent, boom, here's essentially 10 power on turn 3. Do you have a way to deal with this? No, because even if you counter my Shardless Agent, even if you kill my Shardless Agent, guess what? There's still more rhinos. But that's where if you're playing against another type of deck like this that has access to Shardless Agent, you know, might have access to things like our Subtlety, Brazen Bar, you have to be aware of kind of that strategy that comes along with dancing around kind of a mirror style matchup. But we have kind of counter spells available to kind of help us along with this. So you notice our spells here are going to be 3 or 4 mana. The only card that exists in our main list is going to be Crashing Footfalls to be able to hit off of our Cascade. So we can guarantee get some threats out on the board and close the game out faster. Some other lists, like when I was starting to brew stuff up, I was going more Sultai and be a little bit more controlly. I wanted to be able to, you know, tutor up stuff. I wanted to be able to bribery and steal your stuff, but it doesn't close the game out quickly, right? Where Crashing Footfalls, here's guaranteed threats on the board, so it's very powerful. So other spells that it's running, right? We've got our Cryptic Command, again, counterspell, tap creatures, bounce stuff, draw cards. It does it all. Cost 4 mana, very important. We don't want to cascade into it. So that kind of helps us kind of protect our game plan, help push in for damage, pulls in lots of duties for this. Fire and Ice, you look at this card and you go, okay, that's 2 mana, and the other one's 2 mana. But because it is a split card, it actually has a total CMC of 4. They changed this kind of a couple years ago when there was people doing kind of degenerate stuff, and you know, they go, well, listen guys, we can't keep doing degenerate stuff. Let's kind of tweak their rule changes a little bit and make it so, hey, Fire and Ice and these other split cards have a combined CMC instead of you just picking one or the other. But again, this kind of goes along with our tempo-esque removal-esque style. We're either delaying our opponent's game plan, so you can pay 1 and a blue for ice and be able to tap target permanent, draw a card. So usually you're going to be tapping down creatures that people might be getting ready to swing in with on that turn too, especially, hey, that running around monkey that everyone's trying to deal with. We can kind of delay. Otherwise, I would rather use that fire side to deal with that monkey and just kind of, hey, let's just shock him down, deal 2 damage to it. Now, the ice can work on other permanents, so that includes lands. So keep that in mind. If someone is trying to ramp out and do some crazy stuff, we can kind of delay them in that regard. So Fire and Ice is that double duty of removal / delay tactic. So works out very nicely. 23 lands, as you might imagine, with our kind of teamer strategies that we're running. It is going to be kind of that mix. Hey, we've got shocks, we've got fetches, all that kind of stuff. Gemstone Cavern is running along in this list to kind of accelerate the play a little bit more in place we're on the draw instead of on the play. So it is, you know, something to keep in mind if you're playing. Sideboard side, we'll get to in a minute, but when we're talking about the main board, it also has a Planeswalker in here as another win condition. Jace, the Mind Sculptor, is in here to kind of help us out. He's got that triple duty, essentially, of that I can delay things, I have a win con on me, and I can just keep drawing us cards, right? If we're happening to be sitting here with a bunch of Crashing Footfalls in our hand, we need those in our deck so we can cascade into them. Having a Brainstorm type effect makes that really easy for us. So we do have that ability to draw 3 cards, put 2 on top. We'll get rid of our Cascade targets back into our library so we can be able to use them later on. And then, of course, we can be able to do some peeks here, just like we're utilizing our Subtlety. We've also got that kind of ability here with Jace that we can look at the top card of target player's library and put it on the top or bottom of their library. And then that bounce effect, return target creature to its owner's hand. And then if we ever get to 12, hey, you could ultimate and go for that win con that way. But it's got lots of abilities to kind of help us push for damage, disrupt our opponent, draw cards. So really, really good. And reason why it's kind of a teamer control list, right? When you're looking and you're thinking about how traditional control lists go, we've got powerful planeswalkers that we can kind of support our strategies. We've got powerful counter magic, right? Force of negation, cryptic command is in here. And then we've got kind of some good draw spells to kind of help us here, like that fire and ice is kind of our draw spell. So we've got this kind of nice mix of things. The package that makes it so much better than traditional control is the ability to have this cascade effect, get out threats very quickly, and why a lot of even traditional control lists are running more threats, right? If you're running white, hey, there's a good thing that you're going to be seeing a giant indestructible artifact germ running around at this point in time. So keep in mind of the way to accelerate and speed things up. We know that Modern is very much a kind of a turn 4 format where, hey, I'm going to be getting close to that winning around that turn 4. That's where I'm comfortable at. Things might progress a little bit quicker. I might not end exactly on turn 4, but it's going to be pretty much decided by turn 4 if I'm winning or losing at that point in time. So sideboard side, let's jump over here for a little bit. We've kind of got that, again, double duty mix of stuff. Removal spells, protection spells, disruption spells. That's kind of our main bag of sideboard side of things. So Anger of the Gods is in here. Fury is in here. Again, it's like deal 4 damage to something, deal 3 damage to all things. Right? We've got Blood Moon to disrupt. Endurance is going to help us bring things back. Mystic Dispute, more counter magic. Force of Vigor, we're going to get rid of some artifacts and enchantments. And with Enchantress and other fun strategies running around, you know, Hammer Time, it's good to be able to have at least some sort of way to deal with artifacts or enchantments. So the list overall is really powerful. You see it popping up all the time, especially if you're playing on MTGO. It's constantly getting 5-0s at a lot of the events. As people start opening up more and you're going to start seeing some paper events, you will have to keep that in mind, as this is a strategy to keep your eyes peeled for going into kind of paper events, as well as just Modern in general, right? It's a very strong deck. The way that it can get threats out, turn 3 you can have 10 power on board, or turn 3 you can have 8 power on board, right? Regardless, your opponent has to answer these 4/4 threats. And we've talked about this before as, hey, 4/4 actually is a very 4/4s are actually extremely impactful when it comes to Modern, where we're looking at a lot of these other creatures here, right? He's a 2/2, Brazen Borrower is a 3/1, Bone Crusher is a 4/3, right? Even Subtlety is a 3/3. So all of these things die to the Crashing Rhinos. They're all 4/4s. So when we think about power level that exists, really the top end of decks are things like Tron that's being able to cast like Ulamog. Otherwise, most of the lists are running things very quickly, getting threats out, and we're not really seeing the old grindy list of like, here's a Tarmogoyf, that's a 5/6 or something like that. That's not really the case for Modern with how fast it is right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this version of a control list. This Crashing Footfalls list is really cool, especially if you are a teamer player that like these sort of strategies. I love being able to cascade into stuff, so seeing this deck do well, I'm all for it. Let me know what you guys thought of this list. If you guys have any questions about what these strategies are, what sort of lines are, I'm not diving too much into it because we're not doing gameplay to go along with it. But if you have questions, we can kind of highlight those and go over those together in the chat down below. So thanks for tuning in and watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next game. Hey everyone, NanMan here. I'm a StarCraft 2 and Magic the Gathering content maker and commentator. Thanks for tuning in and watching, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check the description for more information about other content that I'm doing. I've also got a new podcast, NanMan's Nerd Corner, which you guys can find out on Spotify or iTunes. It's got a bunch of Magic content as well as other stuff. Thanks for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you guys next game.